Okay. So, habari zetu sote. Yes. Good to see you. Thank you for agreeing to be a part of this. We are, I think we are glad that you're here because we know what we're about to tackle is not exactly the nicest thing to talk about. The nicest thing, pun intended. And it can get a bit controversial. But the intention is always good. So no matter where we head to, the intention is always good. So please introduce yourselves. I'll start with on my left side.
I am Shiviske, majorly an actor and a lover of life.
Okay, fantastic. Demo on Netflix.
Yeah, is that too?
Una floss nayo, you know? Yes. And our gentleman.
Onyango Otieno. I'm a poet and a trauma therapist.
Okay, great.
Yes, yeah.
Might we need your number after what we're about to talk about?
Depending on how it ends.
Sawa. And then
I am Githinji, a performing artist, a lover of the beach and cats.
Yes, fantastic. Tutazidi tukijuana. Now, what we are about to talk about today. So first of all, we are creatives in our own right. I know you guys have not spoken about your other credentials, your directors of your own shows, content creators in your own right. And you've been in the creative industry or in the arts for a long time, at least over 5 years, close to 10 years even. Yeah, good. So there's a lot of experience, there's a wealth of experience. I would want us to not just focus on what we've achieved so far, but perhaps the journey there in terms of what we've encountered behind the scenes, you know? So which kind of spaces we've worked in, because our focus right now is looking at if those spaces enable us to become the best we can be, or we have to become despite what we go through. So to start us off, what do you think safe spaces are, especially within the creative industry, within the arts? What would you describe a safe space as?
I would describe a safe space for the creative industry as a place where I can carry on my work, my craft in a healthy manner. And by healthy, I mean mentally, physically, emotionally. Yes, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, I pretty much borrow what she said.
Yeah.
But just a place where it's easy to express yourself and you're not judged by whatever identity you have.
Okay.
Whether it's your skin, your tribe, your gender, your sex, all those social layers that we have as a people, that you are allowed to just be who you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I would say the same thing that they've said, but I would add,
Yeah.
it's also somewhere where you don't feel intimidated, to be who you are, in as long as you do not hurt any single person around you. Yes.
Would these spaces include a place where you can earn as much money? So would you trade in a safe space for a space where you earn plenty of money?
No.
Or do they go hand in hand?
See, this is the thing. I think it's almost unfair to compare the two because it almost gives the assumption that you can have both. Yes, and ideally, yes, I would trade all the money in the world for a safe working environment because as an artist, if I am not okay, if my core is not 100, then there's nothing I can offer to the world, right?
Yeah.
So I would obviously trade the money for a safe space. But then I do believe, and in fact, I have noticed that some of the safest places, working environments for artists, are the ones that pay the best. I don't know if you guys have noticed. Within the industry, and the most toxic ones, you keep wondering why people are staying there. So yeah, you can have both, but then you can save space over money any day. Yeah.
What's the most toxic thing that has ever happened to you in your work environment? I'll start with Onyango.
Wow. Well, toxic is very relative.
Yeah.
I would first say that I've never been harmed around any working environment as an artist.
Okay.
if anything, much of the problems I've encountered are very structural in the sense that you have an event and an artist has not showed up, they haven't communicated, and you're running the program, and when they arrive, they're not even remorseful about their lateness or stuff like that. Small things like that. I've never encountered like insecurity or some kind of abuse in that regard, at least for me.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Then you're lucky.
Very. Very lucky.
And Shivi?
I would say like since I started, I have been lucky until last year, where gladly it wasn't physical, but I would say it was more of verbal sexual abuse. Yes, which I really didn't take it well, and I had it handled how I knew how. I reported it to I made the producers aware of what had happened, and I made it clear that I would not continue working on that set if that man still worked on that set. So they had to, I would say, choose, but choose is not a really good word because it was wrong. What he did was wrong. So he got fired. Yes, and I made it almost my mission to make it known to other producers the kind of man this man is. Because a lot of women in this industry, and even young women, and I would say majorly like in my industry, like you'd find like they would prey on the young women because they're naive. You know, this is someone probably who wants to be seen on TV, or they don't know how all these things work. So if this man approaches them and tells them, for you to continue being on this set, you have to do this and this and this, they would do because they want to be on that set. So yeah, the time he'd been hired on another set, so I called the producer because that set has a lot of women, and I told the producer, I hear you're about to hire so and so. It's okay if you hire him, but just know this is the kind of a man that he is. So if anything happens to the females on your set, you'll have to take responsibility. Yeah. They did, because they had that story from someone else.
It was that bad.
It was that bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And nice.
Me. No, that is not to mean that gangsters are not hurt. No. What I'm saying is, I've never come across anything physically or sexually toxic in a workplace. However, what I've gone through is probably mental abuse. And it's just that space for things are not working right, but you can't say because you're afraid to be fired, or you haven't eaten, but then you can't ask for food yet you've been shooting for long hours because you're afraid to lose a job. Just those situations where you like he said, you cannot be yourself. You can, and again, as an artist, honestly speaking, I keep saying again, your core has to be 100. And so that being in a situation like that just ends up not giving you the space to work to the best of your ability. Yeah, so nothing as bad as this, but I think that was just as detrimental.
Anything you've witnessed?
Not witnessed, but heard. Okay. Yeah. A friend of mine, I remember some time back, she was on a set, and then this great sound person just pitched her boob and laughed about it.
It sounds very familiar.
Right?
Yes.
And he's a great guy, and his CV precedes him. I have worked with him countless times, and up until this day, I'm still shocked at the fact that that's what happened. Yeah, you know. That's pretty much it. That's all I've heard, yes. And of course, I heard about Shiviske's situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it to mean that there are certain spaces that allow or normalize this sort of behavior, or it's all round, or is it expected? So, for example, when I started out as an artist, I did not expect to be hugged quite as much. I was used to handshakes, but then I went to the National Theatre, kila mtu ana hug. And then to some level you start feeling like, do I really have to hug everyone? You know, do we have to be this free, or can we have some sort of boundaries? And if I ask for boundaries, do I stop being an artist? Do I stop being a free person within this very free environment. I don't know, have you ever felt a need for those kind of boundaries within your working environment?
There's this notion that artists, because we are free beings, you're allowed, anything can pass. Like I would see a guy on set, I'm allowed to say anything, however explicit to him. Or I'd see a female and I'm allowed to do that. But people need to realize, we need to have boundaries. Like, just because you think you're an artist, it doesn't mean that you can just say anything to me. Like, it's not proper. Yeah.
And do you think that pushback would mean that you become that person in the industry people don't want to hang around with, don't want to give you jobs, anataka personal space, nasini wasanii?
Let's be honest, it's one of these things. It's a matter of your personality and how you understand each other sometimes. I am a self-professed potty mouth sometimes on set, but it depends on who am I on set. Am I with a gengo and whoever. Ni watu tumezoeana, na so there's a camaraderie that we have, number one. But second, also, it's almost impossible to toe a line with this. Because let's look at the professionals in our industry. Where do they come off of? It's not like they all go to KMTC or whatever and they're taught medicine, or they all go to Teacher Service Commission and there are laws to whatever part you end up in this tree of art, producer, whatever it is, there's this branch and these are the rules. This is what has to happen. So we don't come from that. Oh boy, I dare say, ni kama ku-expect makara wetu wakwe wazuri na tunajua wote wamekuwa cops because they had no other option. Wangekuwa wezi, but mtu alilipa akaingia kiganjo akapewa gani. Do you understand? So we are in the same sort of industry where there are no systems. So it's less about our industry and more about people. So it doesn't matter whether you're an accountant or whatever. If you're a rapist, you're a rapist. If you're a sexual abuser, you are. You just ended up in a situation where it's the crafts and we have no system, and so it's easy to abuse.
So would it then mean that structures are not as important? Okay, if that's the case, let's look at these other industries, because we are usually measured against them, and unfortunately we fall short. Because that's how come we don't end up with the most investment. That's how come we don't end up with the best image. People look at us as those guys who failed, those guys who did not have something else to do. So therefore, anything that happens to you within that context, you deserve it. So whatever stories we hear about sexual exploitation, about financial exploitation, are expected because you guys are simply not organized. But when we look at our structures, we don't have the same sort of setup as your normal office or your normal sector, where if I went into the banking industry, I will meet someone in HR. So this person in HR will inform me that ABCD is allowable and the rest is not. And if you're getting into a relationship within the office, then this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to sign up, you're supposed to inform us, and you're supposed to help mitigate the situation in one way or another. And in case you get into a situation where there's sexual harassment, this is the systematic way of reporting. Now, let's come back to our industry. Now, since we know how we audition and how things happen, let's even start with the casting couch, So coming from that level, do you think it's because we lack structures or because we lack character as a collective? Let me start with Onyango. Would structures help?
Structures are very important, and also because structures are supposed to be very people-centered. I remember, I think I'm the last batch that did arts and crafts in primary school. This is the year 2000, thereabout. And then from then on, because we used to have these drawing books and stuff like that. We would just express ourselves, and then that was taken away. And they also took away playing time. So we were now just, enclosed in these blocks of walls, and then all the time it's about how much you're gonna, perform. But then I get to high school and then I meet literature and it excites me. I'm like, oh, this is something really good for me.
Yeah.
And then drama festivals is happening and all that, and we're going to all these places, we're meeting other people and great performances. And then after high school, there is nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing for you.
Yeah.
So the structures are killed structurally. It's a system,
Yeah.
you know, and it's a system that works so intensely because your parent also looks at you and you're like, hiyo mashairi sioni kama itakusaidia. Unajua hizo vitu mnasema huko, unasema unataka kuleta hapa kwa nyumba. You know, say you're a doctor, say you want to be a lawyer, say you want to be an engineer. The whole community comes for you, right? But then every day, when communities come together, it's the arts that bring them together. So that's very interesting. So for me, I think it's something that we have to go back a little more behind time and figure out when did those disparities begin? The way we see ourselves as how we view labor, you know? Why is it that other professions are viewed as more important than others? Where are those important professions in the economy? Why are they there? What is the history behind that? We have to understand, you know, what is that thing that was injected in our social fabric or our consciousness that artists are not good enough people or they are not valuable. What is that?
Anyone ever tell you about sexual harassment when you were getting into the industry? That it could happen to you and that this is what you could do, that there's a system to counter it?
No, to be honest, I've had a lot of male privilege in that area. And if anything, in fact, most of the time when those cases appear, most times, it's a woman on the receiving end. And most times they're very young girls who are just coming on to the industry and stuff like that. I used to operate a poetry event at Power 254, and it was so difficult to get female poets because of the timings of the event. You know, and sometimes the environment of that space, because it's very male dominated. Our arts industry, nearly everything is male dominated. So it was we wanted to balance the stage, but then girls, they can't come and you can't blame them for that, you know. So if we had resources, I'd be like, yo, I'm gonna pay your fare, I'll return you home, you know. And then sometimes, oh, it's my mother, she can't allow me to go out because I didn't have that. I'd come back home at 2 a.m, man. I mean, the only problems I had was with my dad, but I could face that. You know, my mom was the one giving me fare, like, okay, oh, unaenda hizo vitu zako, shika hii kitu, utapata chakula, you know. But I sexual violence, reporting, those things, I never experienced them.
So clearly, our parents or our guardians or the society already have this perception that where artists work, it's not a safe space. So therefore, do not send your child there. So what would you change about that perception? What do you think should even change about that
perception? Though was more about drugs than it was about sexuality, sex and stuff. The idea was theater spaces or artist spaces are bad because they're drug users. Because obviously you cannot churn all this amazement while sober, apparently. You know, they couldn't understand how you could be so impeccable and inspirational while sober. Impossible. It must be drugs. But me, I learned about sex early enough, but then I had sex very late and I got into a very sexualized industry. And by then it was those days for you have to sleep with somebody to get somewhere.
Was that ever...
Me, I never saw. It was never put on the table for me. I
like sleep with me or not give you my job.
Imagine I never got that. I really never got that. Besides girls saying you're doing this well because you slept with Nani. There was really never anybody who came and put that on the table for me. However, I will not deny. I won't be that person who says because it didn't happen to me, it doesn't happen. Okay, I won't be a fool, right? So I know for a fact a lot of casting directors. That means we know what we're talking about.
I know.
So there are plenty of casting couches.
So many of those. There's
you've come across.
No. Fortunately enough, I haven't.
It was never put on the table.
For me, no.
nakugei job ukinipea.
What I think happens, I'm not so sure, but what I think happens is they tend to prey on your personality. Like if they see like your personality is a bit, like they can literally prey on you, they would. But if you have a strong personality, they wouldn't, because they know maybe you're a mad person.
I lost a job, but I didn't know if that's what they wanted. Now that I think about it, maybe I was too slow. I don't know if you are those people, you come from an ideology that says I am smart enough and I am capable enough. So so I don't have to do some extra things.
So you wouldn't see it coming in a few
Yes,
hours.
exactly. And so I lost an international job like that. It was a big job that I think it was being shot in West Africa, but then there was a Kenyan, a Nigerian, a Ghanaian, a Tanzanian. And I did the audition and I was going to shoot the next year, and then that December I go to my mom's place. But then this guy from West Africa just keeps texting me at very odd hours, which I don't respond to. Because by then Akina Nini has just gone to West Africa and we were hearing the stories of, Fichua, when you go, just Fichua. And so I was trying to not blur the lines between me getting the job and you thinking I'm going to give you something for the job. And the next thing I knew, there was a WhatsApp group which I was added and then removed. Ile kuoneshwa, you were here, but now you're not.
So it felt more like it was implied.
Yeah, so I think the fact that I was not responding during the holiday and responding to this text at odd hours, because you can't say it's a time zone thing. It's the exact same time zone. I think that's what happened. I think that's what was happening.
Okay.
I just couldn't figure it out. Yeah.
So it's possible that we have experienced this sort of thing. And I'm not trying to push that we have. If we haven't, we haven't. It's good. But then do we know what the extent of what we would call as sexual harassment within our industry is? Can it be touching? Like someone touches you randomly, especially around your privates, what we like to call your privates, they brush an arm against a breast, they pinch your butt. Could it be someone talking about your butt on set? Could it be even the implication that you have slept with someone else to get that job, even if you know it has not happened, but that implication, so that sparks a rumor that so and so got that job because they did etc with someone. Do we know what the extent of that is, and possibly how that has affected us, our industry, or our colleagues?
Me, I think I feel more unsafe on the streets of Nairobi than on a set.
Okay.
To be honest, I agreed that some places are uncomfortable, some people do bad things, but I'm not sure it's that arresting, that it preys on your mind and you can't perform because you think the cameraman is over there looking at me and he can't wait to grab my boobs later, On the streets is where strangers will do those things, is where you're afraid of somebody doing that boob rub and grabbing your butt, and you can't do anything on the streets, So I don't know, I find creative spaces for the most part safe as far as that is concerned. But then sana it depends on the crew and cast, I think, because if you find one of these